I would like to introduce to you Miss Michelle Bothell. Michelle, you want to wave to us?
Hello.
Michelle is, let me make sure I get this right, our elementary digital specialist.
Digital learning specialist. Yes,
Digital
ma'am.
learning. Okay. And she knows many, many things. I would say all things about technology, but you know, that's a rather huge thing to say. So she's going to share with us today. She also is a mother, has children who she's helping with virtual learning, of course, right now. So she's got both sides of that as a parent and then as a technology specialist. And she's here to share what she has and then answer specific questions you may have. All right, sound good? Okay, Michelle, I'm going to hand it over to you then.
All right, so like Ms. Heim said, I am the digital learning specialist in the district, one of the digital learning specialists in the district. I work mostly with the elementary schools. I have some teammates and they work mostly with the secondary schools. Kind of a little bit of explanation about what the digital learning specialist does, because I think that is kind of a confusing role sometimes. We have two kind of departments that work with technology stuff. We have the technology department, and they deal with the actual hardware, the actual broken screens, the device won't turn on. They work with the actual bad device. And then my department, my little sub-department, is part of the curriculum instruction department, and we work on the curriculum side of technology. So we in the digital learning department, we're dealing with the software, how teachers need to teach when they're dealing with digital programs. We do a lot of instructions for the teachers. So a lot of what we do is similar to the technology, because if something's not working, we often are the ones that will fix it. But when we fix stuff, it's going to be something like, I can't log in, or I don't know how to use this program, or when I try to use the program, it comes back and says, I don't have something installed or whatever. So we're the ones that kind of help people work through those things and make sure that digital learning is going to actually work. So obviously we have been very busy in our department in the last couple of years, or the last school year and last school year. So I guess I want to kind of start, just since we're in a very small group, I'm going to go through kind of a little presentation on just some basic things that I know some parents are having problems with as far as logging in and using the main programs that the district has put out there. But if I can kind of get from y'all, like, what grade levels are your students? Because there's programs that work just with elementary and just with secondary, and that way I can kind of focus on one or the other. So can y'all tell me what grade level your students are in, your children are in?
I have a senior.
Yeah. Okay, a senior, got it.
Joni, how about you?
I have a 6th grader in FA.
Okay, and Mr. Bowie?
I have 8, 10, and Karen is special need.
And that's their age or their grade?
8th grade. 8th grade.
Okay, grade level.
10th grade, and Karen is special need.
Okay.
Yes, I have 3 children going up Crowley.
Okay, and Miss Henson?
6th grade, Rise.
Okay. And then you've got a younger, typical couple.
Oh yeah, sorry. I have a 4th grader, neurotypical, and then I guess I have one that will be in PPCD.
Whoa, already. Okay. All right, so it looks like mostly secondary.
Mostly secondary. Okay, so that's good to know. So as we talk through the programs, the two main programs, well, there's one main program that all the students are using, and that's Clever. And then the two main programs beyond that, for elementary, it's Seesaw, and for secondary, it is Google Classroom. Now, some of the self-contained secondary classrooms are also using Seesaw. So if you know that your student, I've got a nod here, somebody's using Seesaw even though their child's in secondary. Yes, so that does happen. Sometimes we do have some secondary students who are using Seesaw. So I'll kind of talk about both of those real briefly. And then y'all, this is a small group. So if y'all have questions, go ahead and ask them, and we'll kind of work through anything that we need to. So I am going to see if it will let me share my screen. Oh, Ms. Heim, you're going to need to enable share for me to share my screen. And I'm also going to put something in the chat while she's doing that.
Okay, it should be enabled now.
Okay, excellent. Just a moment. So in the chat, I am posting 2 links, and those are the Crowley ISD Quick Start Technology Guides. I would advise you go ahead and get those, save those, print it out, put it on your refrigerator, save it to your phone, whatever. That's the basics of how to log into the Chromebook, how to log into the programs, Skyward, where to get help when you need it. So those are good little handy documents to have. All right. Okay, and so this is what that quick start guide looks like right there. So you can see it's going to tell you how to log into the device, how to log into Clever. We've made some updates to Clever recently, so this has got the updated information, how to log into Seesaw or Google Classroom, how to log into Skyward, and then Zoom. And then this link is I'm also going to give at the end. You want to make note of that because that is how you get a hold of me and my department. So we've made this nice little link. So you don't have to, if you're having problems with logging in or software or those kinds of things, that's a link that will take you, that you fill out a form and it goes directly to my team. So we'll talk more about that in a moment. Okay, so the first thing, and I'm going to go through this kind of quickly because some of this is probably going to be things y'all already know, but if you don't know, just tell me to stop and I'll slow down and kind of go through it a little bit more slowly. But the first thing is hopefully everybody's got Chromebooks for their students. And when they log into the Chromebook, they're going to log in with their district username and password. We have just made some updates to Clever recently so that students are able to log into their Chromebook with a badge. Instead of having to type in the username and password. Now, at this point, that's only authorized for elementary students. But if you have a self-contained student or a student in a self-contained class and being able to log into a badge would be something that you would be interested in doing, then talk to me at the end and we will make sure we can get a badge set up for your student as well. We have to do it individually. That's for the 7th grade and above. That's why we don't have those logged in right now, but for elementary or sixth grade and above, but for elementary students, they already have badges enabled. And so when they go to log into their Chromebook, they have 2 options. They can click the login with password, and that will bring them to this page where they put in their username, which is their student ID number, and then they put in their password. Now, all students' passwords are defaulted to this format. Which is their birthday, month, day, year, the word student with a capital S, capital is important, has to be capitalized, and an exclamation point at the end. Like I said, that is the default password for the student. For elementary students, we don't allow them to change those passwords. For secondary students, it usually does make them change their password, but if they ever have a problem with their password and we change it, we'll always change it back to this format. And we can keep it at that format. You know, there's no reason that you have to have a different password. And a lot of students, they always have this password. So that's just the format that we're using for student passwords initially. So you can log in with a password or you can log in with a Clever badge now as our new option. So if you click on that, it's going to come up with this little kind of icon here and your camera will turn on. It'll say, would you like to turn on your camera and allow it to access your camera? And you say yes. And then you hold up a little badge that looks like this in front of your camera, and it will give you a little green check, and that will actually log you straight into the Chromebook. So is anybody using badges already for their student? Yeah, okay.
It's a godsend. It's wonderful.
Good. Yes, it's so much easier to get in. If you have a secondary student who's in a self-contained class and you'd like to use badges, like I said, let me know and we'll get that set up for you. So once you're logged in, it should log you into Google and Clever, but just in case it doesn't, You can, or if you're not using a district device and you're using a personal device, you can go to the Clever website, and it's clever.com. And if you go just to clever.com, it will get you to the same place. You'll just have to put in your school name. But if you type in clever.com/in/Crowley ISD, then it will take you to this page. So you don't have to type in your school name. Same deal. You can log in with a password or you can log in with a badge, and same password format. So everything's the same with that. Then once you get into Clever, you're going to get you're going to get a list of all the different programs that is available to your student. This is an example of what a secondary student might have available to them, and this is what an elementary student might have available to them. Now, for those of you who are using Seesaw for a secondary student, yours is not going to be getting to Seesaw the same way. You're going straight to the site, I'm guessing. Unless your teachers put a link on there. Your teacher might have put a link on there, but the district link doesn't apply for secondary students. So your teacher would have to put a link into Seesaw, or you'd have to go directly to the site. But you kind of can see any of those programs that the district's asking you to do, you can get to them through Clever. So that makes it really easy if they want you to go to iStation, or they want you to go to Achieve 3000, or they want you to do any of those programs. They'll be in Clever, and you'll be able to click on them and it'll take you right there. There's a few of them that you may have to log into, but most of the time, just click on them and it goes right there. Now, this is something that was launched a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and that's the Clever Family Portal. Has anybody set up their Clever Family Portal yet? Okay, so you'll get an email from Clever. And if you missed that email and you need us to send it again, we'll talk at the end and we can send it again. And basically what it will allow you to do is you can log into your Clever Family Portal. And the main thing is, if your students are using badges, you can print a badge yourself. So you don't have to worry about the teacher printing your badge, because those badges get lost. That just happens. So you can print a badge yourself. There's also a thing that says instant login. And let's say you're using your device and the child is not able to log into Clever for whatever reason, the password isn't working, whatever, you've submitted a work order to try to get that fixed, but you still need to get into the program today. You can log into the Clever Parent Portal, click this instant login, and then the student can work from your device and in their Clever account. So that's another way to help if for some reason you can't get into Clever, and then also you have the badge. And then we are putting some parent resources on there as well. And one of the parent resources on there is the help desk link that I was telling you about. So if you haven't got the Clever Family Portal, that's something you may want to set up. It's real easy. You get an email from Clever, you click on it, and it gives you the directions. All right, so this is Seesaw. I know we had a couple of people using Seesaw. Do we need to go over anything with Seesaw? Okay, I'm just gonna, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead and do just basics. I think I figured most of it out just from the days he was home, quarantined. But I guess one thing, if they submit, he is a clicker, he just clicks on everything. And so he has submitted work when it's not done. Mm-hmm. And so it's hard to get back without starting completely over. Is there a way to do that? Or does the teacher have
on the teacher side, the teacher would unsubmit the work. And so then it'll go right back to where it normally is. All right, so in Seesaw, you log in as the student's information would be up here in the top corner. And then most of what you're gonna see for students is gonna be this activities button. And so when you do see the activities, you're going to click on that, and then it will list the activities, and it has a little to do, the ones student hasn't completed yet, the ones that are in progress, like they started it, but they didn't finish it, and the ones that are done. So when you go to the to do, it will have a add response button. When you click on that, then it will open up and give you the tools that you may need to complete that activity. And generally, let me go back a second, it'll say in the directions, oh, you're going to need to take a picture or use the microphone. It'll tell you which tools that you're going to need. has various tools that you can use. And then once you've done that, this, for example, is in the drawing tool. This person has taken a picture of something. They've used the text tool to label it and to add this sentence here. Then it looks like they're about to click the microphone tool. And then when they click that microphone tool, it will do a recording so they can talk through their learning and explain what it is they're doing. And then when they're done with it, that's that green check to turn it in. Now, if you're not finished with it, you can also hit that draft button, and that's where we'll put it in those in progress folder, but that green check will turn it in. All right, there is also a Seesaw Family app. Have you done that one yet? Okay, so the Seesaw Family app, talk to your teacher and they will send you an email from Seesaw to get you set up with a Seesaw Family app. What that allows you to do is when your student is, if your student's at school face-to-face and they're working in Seesaw, you can't log in as your student because they're working in it, but you log in as the parent and you can see the student's work and their progress. So when you go to that, it will set you up with a family account. You can click here and see each of your children that have Seesaw accounts. Then you can post comments on it. You can talk to your teacher and ask questions, all within that Seesaw Family app. And that is an app for phones and iPads and that sort of thing. So it's a downloadable app. But to get that information, to get it set up, talk to your child's teacher, and they will go and send you an invite. And when you get that invite in the mail, then you can download the app and set it up, and you'll be able to see your students, your child's work. Okay. Okay. So that's kind of, any other questions about Seesaw and kind of the basics of that and how that works? All right. So I'm going to talk about Google Classroom because a lot of y'all are in secondary and your students may be using Google Classroom. So Google Classroom, again, you log in from Clever. If you're logged in with a school Chromebook, you probably log in already because once you log into Chromebook, it usually logs into Google Classroom. But if not, you'd go to Clever, you click on the Google Classroom and you'd log in. The first time you log into Google Classroom, you often have to go ahead and put in your Google Classroom username and password. Your username is the same username we've been talking about the whole time, your student's ID number. The only difference is it'll have this email ending. It'll be their ID number at crowleyisdtx.me. And then they'll put in their Google Classroom password, which is the same password they use to log into the Chromebook, which is the same password they use to log into Clever. It's all the same.
Yes, thank you for that.
Yes. and we tried it when we have programs that require different passwords. We try to put them all in Clever so it automatically saves them so they don't have to type them in. Because there are a couple of programs that won't accept that password. They won't accept exclamation marks or whatever. And we have to do different passwords, but we try to put those all in Clever so you don't have to type in any password. It will direct you to this single sign-in. Again, username is ID number, password.
Do you know what my blood work results will be in?
All right, and then when you're in Google Classroom, you're going to have...
and you all just call me? All right, thank you.
I'm sorry, when you're in Google Classroom and you log in, you'll see your students' classes that they're in. If a teacher has just added you to a class, you'll just hit that join button and that will join you to the class. And then you can click on the class to open it. When you open it, the main thing in Google Classroom that you're going to need to pay attention to is two tabs at the top. One says stream and one says classwork. You don't really need to mess with the people tab that just says what people are in the class. But the stream tab, that's going to be like announcements. Oops. That's going to be like announcements from the teacher. They might put due dates on there, that kind of thing. And then the classwork is the main tab that students will work in. That'll actually have what are their assignments each day. So when they click on their assignment, it'll give them the directions and then they click there and it'll have the name of the assignment. If there is a document that they need to open, like a template or something, they can click here and open it. They can click view assignment, and that's where they're going to go to push the turn in button, is this little view assignment button. So when they do that view assignment, this is what it will look like. It'll have their name on the assignment. They can add a comment to their teacher. Actually, this is a comment to their whole class. Then they have their work right here, and they can hit turn in, and it turns it in. Now, here's a mistake that students often make. So this is something to know if you're using Google Classroom. See this lovely little X here? Oh my goodness, it deletes the assignment. And then the students get really freaked out, but it's still there. If you just click that add button again, it will repopulate it and it'll be there again. And then you can just turn it in again. All right, so that's kind of the gist of Google Classroom, pretty simple program. So here are some links for you to know. This is on the Crowley ISD website, the /virtual learning. And if we go to this site, you can see that a lot of the stuff that I've talked about is here. We have the virtual learning resources. We have the help desk link. This is that same help desk link that I'm sharing in the document. Some videos, some technology resources. This is more from the technology department, but it does have my link here for the digital learning help desk. So I'm going to go back to my presentation here. This is the link you want to make sure that you save. And it is on that quick start guide, but it's at tiny.cc/student help. If I go to this, and I'm going to go ahead and go through it real quick so you can kind of see what it looks like. And this is the document that's going to go straight to my teams. Did I lose my internet there for a second? Okay, are we good?
I can hear you, but you're a little frozen.
I'm a little frozen. All right, well, I hate to disconnect and reconnect, but.
But your screen is still up and we can hear you fine. I think.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep going and we'll just, if I make a weird face, you'll just have to live with that. Okay, so the student help desk information about your students so we can find their information. Most important is to get that student ID number because that's what we use to find everything. Sometimes students have the same name, so we have to have that ID number. This is important too. Make sure that you put your student's date of birth. That's how we verify that you are the actual parent of this child, so that when if we reset the password and we need to give you the new password, we're giving it to the right person. So you have to put in your child's date of birth as a verification. A lot of times people forget and they put 2020, so make sure that you actually put the year that they were born. Check their grade and their and finding things. This is important. What type of device are you using? Because if you're using your personal computer and you can't get into iStation, my directions are going to be different than if you're using a school Chromebook and you can't get into iStation. So those kinds of things are important. And then who is filling out this form? You see students can fill it out, y'all can fill it out, teachers can fill it out, librarians can fill it out, anybody can fill it out. And then please enter your email. And this is your email that you actually open and respond to. We sometimes have people put in their students' district email address, but that doesn't really help because if you can't get into your password, then you can't get into your email. So we don't want to do that. And then just going to go through some questions to help you figure out where best to direct your problem. So it'll say, what can we help you with? You can't, your password isn't working. You're getting this mapper credentials invalid error. You don't have a Chromebook, and then this will direct you away from our team to the correct people. Your Chromebook needs repair, etc. These here are going to go to the technology department, but it helps give you the information on how to get to the technology department. And so let's see, Clever, Seesaw, Google Classroom, and then it lists all the programs. So if you're having trouble logging into one of these programs, you can't log into iStation, you click iStation, it's going to actually give you some help with that. And it's going to say, oh, have you tried this? Have you tried this? Have you tried this? And sometimes people will go through and then they'll just cancel the order because those steps helped them figure it out. So it's not just a form for, can you help me? It's also the steps for, this is the process and how I can get help with any of these things. And then when you've got all that, you just do next, and it will go, it might ask you more questions depending on what you asked. You know, if you said I'm having trouble with iStation, it might say, can you log into Clever? You know, and if you say yes, then it'll say, okay, well then there's this one of your problems, and etc. So it goes through, it helps you really well knowing what it is that the problem is. And then that goes to a form, and my team checks that form every single day. So you'll get a response within 24 hours that will say, okay, here's what you need to do, or I've fixed your problem, or whatever. And we email you back whatever email you put in the form. So it's important to check that and make sure that that is the correct email address. Any questions about the form? Okay, any questions in general?
I have some questions.
Please.
I was going to ask a question about on Google Classroom, then when they go to add or create a file, if they have a picture, like most of the files are already, it's going to be either a Google Doc, it's going to be a link, it's going to be those kinds of files are already defined as an option, but a JPEG isn't. So usually we end up taking the picture, inserting it into a document, and then submitting the document. Is there no way to submit?
You should be able to do a
JPEG
Google
directly?
Drive. I'm pretty sure Google Drive document is one of the options. Let me see.
I thought we had tried just about every option on it, and we could never get the JPEG to just go directly to it. And it's possible because the Google Drive, I have to admit, I'm a software engineer who was basically a programmer 30 years ago. And a lot of this stuff drives me nuts because it is not intuitive as it really frustrates me. So like I said, I thought we tried just about every way.
Okay, so you're talking about if you're responding to a classwork?
Yes, and he has to take a picture of it. And so we just try to connect that picture and the assignment and turn it in. I think every time we've had to include it in a document.
I'm a teacher and not a student, so I'm trying to see if it'll let me. No, it's not going to let me do it that way. Trying to see if I have one where I'm a student instead of the teacher.
And I think if the teacher were to like actually set it up to be, that might make a difference, but usually it's just that generic add or create, so.
Yeah, I think she made me a teacher this class too. Sorry, give me just a moment. All links. Yeah, it keeps doing me as a teacher. I have to look, but I thought one of the options, let me do it as a teacher. Let me make a new option. Let me see if I can do it that way. So I have the option of Google Drive here.
Right.
And when you do, so are you talking about this kind of a page and you're trying to do an ad? Or are you trying to do create?
I'm not sure which one we've done at this point. I'm sure we probably added or created it, or probably tried both.
And it doesn't have Google Drive as an option or file as an option?
I can't remember exactly. I have to go back and look, but I could have sworn we looked like, because we went through all the stuff on his Google Drive and we can never get the JPEGs to come up. And again, it just might be our, anyway, not from lack of trying, but maybe we just missed it.
Okay, let me, I'm not going to be able to log in as a student right now, but if I'll get your email and I'll look into it and see what I'm missing if I'm logged in as a student. keep hoping one of
And
them.
I'll go back to him. I'll go back over to his class. He's in the class now, but I can always go
You
back
know
and
what?
look at
I
it.
wonder
and
if
see
she made me
if we
a
can do
teacher.
Google Drive. I didn't think we could.
No, it still has me as a teacher.
I'm sitting here just talking away and I'm on mute.
Go ahead.
We've done something similar that we can't get his pictures. Like we have to take pictures on my phone. We can't get it into his Google account. He doesn't have an email. So getting it onto his device at all was frustrating.
That was
Okay,
gonna be the Google Chromebook camera itself is so crazy because like we're picking up the whole thing to get the picture of this document, and I was wondering if there was an easier way to access the camera.
There isn't really an easier way to access the camera. I have seen teachers who will take like little compact mirrors. This is a very awful thing to have to explain to somebody. And they'll set it up on their camera up here so that it'll point down onto the keyboard so that they can take a picture of a document that way.
Yeah, we literally pick it up and Zachary's looking underneath and I'm trying to arrange the thing. I'm like, can you see it? And he pushes the button. And I mean, we're standing on our heads to take a picture.
I know. I wish that they had done, there's some of the Chromebooks have cameras that'll flip around, but ours don't. So that's kind of a pain. So no, there isn't really a good way to make the camera run, you know,
Is
to
there
do a
a
document. You
way?
really have to just hold up the document and just kind of, you know, get out of the camera frame and then just kind of see it and click it that way is really the best that I've got.
Is there a
for
way
that.
to import it from like my phone? What I think I ended up doing is saving it to my Google Drive and then going in on his browser and switching to my Google Drive and saving it to the Chromebook and then saving it back to
You
his.
can also do it the other way around and on your phone, log into his Google Drive and save it there.
Maybe that's what I did.
We've done that before too.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
But
that.
the email, that is another question. You know, sometimes as teachers will say and ask questions about their emails, they don't have an email that they can actually access
No,
email.
they only if they are older than 12. So I think it's
Okay.
8th grade and above.
Well, my kid is older than that, but we still don't have access to an email.
Oh, well, then let me show you how, because you do. You just don't
Okay.
know it.
Good. I like that.
So it's a Microsoft. So in Clever, one of our options, let me see if it'll let me get into Clever, is Microsoft. That one, I think you are going to have to log in. See if it lets me do it this way. So 8th grade and above does have access to an actual email. Portal.
That would have been helpful to know at the beginning of the year.
Yes, you guys do have an actual email.
I kept whining, we don't have email. Oh, so funny.
You do. Okay, so
UNFA, are you sure that the self-contained kids have an email too?
I don't think they would, honestly, to turn it off for them would be really difficult. I doubt
Okay.
technology did that.
Okay, so we just,
That's
'Cause
great.
it's set up by grade. So I don't think they would have turned it off.
Okay.
It's possible, but that's
I
a
think they
lot of
just
work
didn't
for them to
tell us.
figure out. So I'm sorry, I'll do that again. So I clicked on Microsoft Office. Now I'm already logged in, so it didn't make me log in, but it would take me to that Encore single sign-in page if I clicked on the Microsoft Office. And then once I got to that Encore single sign-in page, that looks like this one. Username, password, same username, password. And then it'll take you to Microsoft. And then you have all access to all of those programs as well. You have Word, Excel, PowerPoint, all of that. And in fact, a couple of years ago, we weren't really using Google at all. And secondary students were completely using Microsoft for everything. And then things shifted and we started using Google Classroom. And so then we started using Google products, et cetera. And so Microsoft kind of went, it didn't really go away. It's still there, but it's
By the
not being used
wayside.
as much. Yeah,
Wow.
so the younger students, all students have access to Microsoft. They all have Microsoft products. But the younger students, when they get here and look at their options on the side, they won't have that Outlook because they don't have an email. But the secondary students, and like I said, I think it's 8th grade and above. It might be 7th grade and above because you have to be 13 and older. So I think they went with 8th grade and above. Those students will have access to an email here. And so there you go. Learn something.
Okay.
Michelle, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so getting back to that idea of having a picture, but then having problems with submitting the photo or the picture of their work. Would there be any way at the teacher end that teachers could ask for, could give direction on how to get that photo submitted that we could?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why it wouldn't just submit a drive because it's not letting me look as a student right now because I'm logged in as me. And so I can log in as a student. It's just going to take me a minute and I didn't want to waste everybody's time waiting for me. I thought there was an option to link something from Google Drive. So then all you have to do is take that picture, upload it to your Google Drive, and then link it there. So I want to see what the problem is from the student end and then I can figure that out and send that information to y'all.
Okay.
So give me a little while after we're done. And if I can get the emails of everybody and I can just make a little video on, oh, here's how we do it, and then send it to y'all and we can figure that out.
Okay, I can probably get you everyone's emails if everyone's okay with that. Or you can type it into the chat room.
Whatever.
Either way, right? Would that work best for you, Michelle?
Either way, doesn't matter.
Okay.
And you don't have to, if you're not having that problem, you don't have to submit your email. It doesn't matter. But
Excuse
and
me,
I know we were talking about it with Google Classroom and you were talking, Joni, you were talking about it, but are you talking about it through Seesaw?
No, the picture was for a Google Classroom project.
Okay. Okay. All right. Other questions?
excuse me, can I leave the meeting? I have to go back to work.
Sure. Thank you so much, Mr. Bowie, for
you.
being here for the time that you could make. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
All right. You
Thank
have a
you.
good day.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Michelle, I do have one. My little guy has impulse control problems. And so right now he doesn't have his Chromebook because they cannot he is having trouble staying on his work to work. He ends up on a gaming site or.
Yeah.
So I had his dad, my tech support, I had him get on. We just got as much as we could, figured out some parameters and things that we could turn off and restrictions and stuff. But I feel like it's still really lacking. So is there more that we can put in place for him to try to help a little more boundary wise?
The problem with the district Chromebook is that the technology department has put in place certain filters, et cetera, and they have to make it for the whole district. So they can't do things like block YouTube because students use YouTube and things like that. So that limits parents' ability to go in and filter things because you can only have one person filtering, either the district or the parent. You can have both. And we have to filter because there's laws that we have to do that. So it does limit the kinds of things that parents can do on the district computer. Now, if you're ever using your own computer, there's tons of stuff you can do. And there's all kinds of cool stuff with that. But a district computer and a district Google account, the district is the one that has to manage it. And so that makes it really tough for parents to put in those other layers of management. I'm trying to think, is there...
Well, I think he's not the only one struggling with it. There's something about, giving this many 12-year-olds Chromebooks, because I know their FA teachers blocked YouTube for all of those kids.
Yes.
So they can't it anymore. So they are able to do some reading.
The teacher level, and in fact, teachers have just learned a new tool recently that lets them have a little bit more control over that. So the teacher level, they have a little bit more control, but we're really trying to get the teachers to only use that control when the students are supposed to be working with them, because we've had problems where the teachers are blocking YouTube all the time. And then that kid is trying to use YouTube in their math class and the English teacher says no. And so it's really only going to block it when they're supposed to be virtual with that teacher or in that physical teacher's classroom. So as far as homework or independent work time or stuff like that, it's hard to even for the teacher to block that because she doesn't know what the other teacher might be needing.
Right.
No, it does pose challenges.
It gets complicated, doesn't it?
It is. Is what one teacher, so I had one teacher who blocked something from a student and he's like, this is a gaming site. And I was like, yeah, but his gate teacher assigned it to him. He's like, this kid's off task. I'm like, well, but his gate teacher assigned it to him. So the kid's trying to use his downtime to finish his gate assignment and you just blocked it, so.
It does get complicated, goodness.
Because what's a game for one person is an assignment for another. So yeah, it does get complicated. I wish there was an easy answer for ways that parents can manage, but the way Google and Chromebook does all of their parent management is the same. It's in conflict with the school management. So, I mean, on my personal computer with my son in his personal Google account, I've got, restrictions that I can put on that, but not with school accounts because they're different.
Oh, that's understandable.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I wish there was an easy answer.
No, that's okay. Well, we've gotten creative. It's definitely a problem of our age. I mean,
yes.
That we're
yes. Other questions?
I thought of one more thing that it's more like a comment question. Since actually have an email and Google Classroom, there's all those comments that you can make and personal comments to the teacher and all that. But one of my frustrations was always that we never knew whether or not they ever replied to our comments. Would you think they actually get an email about that if someone has replied to one of their comments? Because I thought the teacher said they get emails about all the comments that are made. So I was just curious.
The teachers do get emails. Depending on how the teachers have set up their notifications in Google Classroom is going to depend on whether they get emails for stuff like that or not. So some teachers have set up notifications where anything that's in Google Classroom, send me an email. And some of them are only set it up to where they have to go in and actually see the comments. But the teachers will see the comments when they're in Google Classroom, even if they don't get it as an email.
Right. There's just so many different, between putting a comment specifically on the assignment when you turn it in versus like the stream and then comments there. And so it's just I'm always like, where did we even say something about that, Zach? We'll go back and just finding it sometimes.
And knowing which comments are
back and actually
personal to the teacher and which ones are to the class, because that's a different too. When you do on the stream.
And we've only done that a few times with the personal stuff, but yeah.
Exactly.
So, okay. Interesting.
Linda,
I guess one other frustration that we have, I was going to say, is just the way that some of the programs that they use set up differently on the the whole Google Chromebook, as opposed to when the teacher's showing you, like, Zappy has one general ed class. And so I'm sitting in there with him just to kind of make sure we get the notes and stuff. But so he'll show us the program on his computer, which is not a Google Chromebook. And then we'll download the program to our computer, and it looks completely different. So trying to navigate getting back to where we know what the tools are has been a big challenge for us. Again, I'm a programmer. I get the idea, but so frustrating that some of it's so different between what we're being shown from the teacher and what we get to see on his teeny tiny little Chromebook screen, which my eyes are saying, I can't see it. So
I'm curious as to whether the difference is the Chromebook and the teacher computer, or a teacher account and a student account.
Oh.
It may be that the teacher is logged in with his account, not realizing that the student view is different. A lot of programs will allow teachers to switch to student view so that they can show the students what the students will see, but some programs don't do that. And so then you're seeing the teacher view versus the student view. What program is it?
Oh, I think we might have lost her.
I think so too. Anyway,
She went blank at least.
Yeah. Joni, you were starting to say something at one point. I think there's been a little lag in some of it. Do you remember? I'm not sure either. Linda was talking and you were, I think, going to give a suggestion of something that, I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if she can still hear us. I finally asked the teachers because we have Seesaw and Google, and we figured out the private comments to the teacher and use that quite a bit. But then we also have Remind that we have, announcements and stuff like that that comes in. So I finally just asked his case manager teacher, where do you want me to message you? I mean,
Yeah.
which of these do you check the most
Yes.
often or whatever? And she basically said, it doesn't matter. We're going to get all of them. Just do it. Whatever, the one that you will use is the one that you should use. That's the easiest for you to message us on. So kind of, that was just helpful to know. They doesn't really have a preference. She's in those things all day long. And so
and
if you want
some
to email
teachers
me,
do have a preference. Some teachers
Yes.
have a preference of certain things. Like you send me a text message during the day. If it's something I can handle right away, I'll do it. But if I don't handle it right away, I'm going to forget. Whereas my email, I come back to over and over and over again. So I was
Right. So yeah, I was going to suggest
That was definitely
she just
another at the
what they prefer.
is to contact your team. Do you email? Yeah, it was a lot. So
anything else, y'all?
Well, I learned a ton from what you were sharing, Michelle, and I learned that,
Yes.
good Lord, there's a lot to learn. This is no easy task. And you parents here, I mean, you are very knowledgeable about so much. I just think so many of our families, how overwhelming this is. Whew.
Yes.
But Michelle, this was super helpful.
Anytime.
Have an-
Not a problem.
so it's like just cannot imagine ones that have multiple. If it had been 10 years ago, you would have been visiting me in a padded room because there's no
Well, did you guys put your email if you wanted
so
me to
much.
figure out that thing? I know Miss Kelly was one that needed it.
Yeah.
Donna, do you want
I've got their emails. I can forward them to
Okay.
you. Miss Henson, do you want me to send her your email as well? And now I've already forgotten what you're going to be sending that. Oh, how to
Do
load a
the
picture.
upload the picture. Yeah.
Yeah. You
And
there?
I'll go back to Zachary's computer and it might work, but you never know.
Mhm. Yeah, well, I'll send all three of these folks and myself as well. Michelle, you'll let me
Okay.
know. And then
All
I
right.
can share that with other parents who might want to know. Okay,
All right.
I think we're good. I think we'll wrap up this meeting then, if no one else has anything to say.
Thank you so much, Michelle. It's
No
really
problem. Anytime. And y'all are always welcome to email me. It's just my name, Michelle.Boffel@Crowley, all that same stuff that everybody else has, Crowley.k12.tx.us. So if you ever have a question or anything, just let me know.
All right, sounds great. Well, you all have a wonderful winter break. We're almost there.
just a few more days.
I know.
Hey, Donna, my phone locked up, but yeah, you can email it to me. Thank you.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right.
Sounds good, Miss Henson. Well, you have a great holiday and yeah, stay safe.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you. too,
Bye-bye.
Donna.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much, Michelle.
All righty.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.